extremely concerning. And if you see, however, when you do a little bit of analysis, what you find is that marketing is directly putting carbon footprint into the environment. And also, we deal with agencies and the supply chains that are putting footprint. So you got your own, as a function, you got your own carbon footprint as a company, plus you have got your vendors and your partners who are putting footprint into the environment, which is being funded by you, right? And the key thing is this is like 25% of, at least in the financial services, that's where we have done our in-depth analysis, 25% of the carbon emissions in a given company are actually coming out of marketing. So this is something significant, and we have to really wake up to the reality and do something about it. I think it's very evident when you see the melting of the polar caps, you are seeing the wildfires in different parts of the world, the hurricanes, the intensity and the frequency with which rains are occurring and flooding is happening. Climate change is really, really there. And we have to do something, and carbon footprint is the first thing that we have to attack. And that is not really happening right now the way it should be. Also, when you look at your own marketing ecosystem, we feel collectively that, oh, we are now shifting more to digital, and digital by definition has to be more carbon footprint efficient, which means it puts less carbon footprint into the place. So there are these vague notions and myths that if I'm doing a lot more digital marketing, I'm actually better than a traditional marketing mix. The reality is not true. The reality is something totally different. And what we saw is like, in our own case, MasterCard, we did this actually. Now 50% of our spend is in digital, but 80% of carbonization is coming from the digital channels. Whereas outdoor, when we spend 30% of our spend, we only have 2% of the total carbon emission. Each company has to look at their carbon footprint. The drivers of the carbon footprint are very critical to understand, and that you don't measure.
So a couple years ago, my wife said to me, "My computer's out of space, can you fix it?" And I said, "Sure, let's just move your photos into the cloud." And she asked me a question I couldn't really answer. She said, "Where's the cloud?" And she's like, "Is it up there?" And I was like, "No, the cloud is a big warehouse full of servers in New Jersey, or Virginia, or Washington, or Oregon, or Frankfurt. It's just a big warehouse." And she said, "Well, why is it called the cloud?" And I said, "Fantastic marketing." It's incredible that we think that digital is ephemeral. But every time someone says digital, it's actually tied directly back to servers somewhere. Those servers are incredibly carbon intensive and water intensive to manufacture, and they use an immense amount of electricity. 4% of global electricity is used by servers, and that number is going up every single year. So the first thing I want to do is disabuse you of the idea, as Raja already mentioned, that digital is free, or digital is not contributing to our environment. And Raja just mentioned a great stat. He said 15% of advertising doesn't go anywhere useful, especially in programmatic. This is a study that Ebiquity did earlier this year that said that 15.3 of display ads are completely wasted. And they contribute 26% more emissions than the average real website. Now, I know that no one here is thinking, I bet I'm advertising on these useless sites. But the fact is, it's very difficult to know what's real and what's not. And generative AI is making this even more difficult. The idea of it's real on the internet is almost a fiction at this point. You can deepfake anything, even 6 months later, I'm here to report to you that every single one of these tests was successful. Not just did we lower the carbon footprint by, in most cases, more than 20%, we also found no negative impact on reach or performance. This means there's no trade-off. You're not trading reach, frequency, performance. There's no trade-off. You just stop buying wasteful advertising and you cut your carbon footprint and you get better performance. The best pilot actually was Sanofi. And I want to call them out because the pilot results, when I saw them, I stopped walking. I was on my phone and was like, wow, we did it. I actually wanted to call Stefan and say, this is going to be a great presentation, because their CPA decreased by 3x when we actually cut out all the underperforming domains. We saw an increase in VCR, we saw an increase in every single metric, and the best metric was their CPM went up, as seen by the publishers. What we did was we cut out this incredibly inefficient supply chain. We drove transparency, we increased working media, and we drove perfect results for every single player in the value chain. It was a home run. We did another pilot, which I can share with you, with Audi through our partner Adform. And you can see the results here. We reduced the carbon footprint by 52%. We were even more aggressive. And we saw the performance metric improve by 65%. These are shocking results. We all knew there was waste in programmatic. I don't think anyone realized just how much. We can fix this carbon